The issue with cities is we're doing it at the expense of nature and the planet, but we're also doing it at the expense of like our own health and our own happiness. Like so many people are unhappy in cities. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. How do we go from gray to green, eco over ego? How do we start blending and creating hybrid models?
Eco over ego.
Hashtag eco over ego.
Damn, I've never heard that either.
You overcame it with fun?
Yeah, so I think most of the time we could like overcome things with fun, but like there were always sometimes moments, you know, where it's been a long day and like this is the last stack of 16 toilets we're cleaning, and we're like, yeah, you know, maybe we don't have to scrub that like tiny piece that's like a dirt on the mirror as hard as for the first mirror we did, you know.
Yeah.
I'll take what Tim Tam wrote on a post-it note. He said, have fun, don't die, use protection.
What's good, dear Dovies? A warm welcome to another episode of the Diary of Volunteers on Earth. In today's Dove podcast, I'm talking to Tina and Huldar, two fellow scouts and adult volunteers whom I've met at the last scout event that I attended in Norway. And we're going to be talking about an organization called Bridges for Prosperity. Before I get into that, just a few housekeeping notes. This is the second part of the Norway series. There's another episode which I highly recommend you to check out. It's with a Hungarian scout who volunteered in Ukraine. His name is Andras. You can find the link here. And there's more scout content to come, but also other content, loads of other content. If it's your first time listening to a Dove podcast, then first of all, thank you so much for spending your time and attention with me. I really appreciate it. Second of all, just so you know, this is a completely independently run podcast. There's no affiliation, sponsorship so far, whatever, besides a few episodes that I got sponsored during my trip last year. So I'm highly depending on my audience's support, which is you guys. So if you feel like it, and please follow along on social media, specifically YouTube. Subscribe there, like the videos, share them with your friends and family. If you're a guide and a scout, feel free to share them within your group or tribe or whatever. That really helps. There's a few cool episodes about scouting, for example, with the great son of founding father, Lord Baden-Powell. You can check that out. And yeah, a whole bunch of episodes which are really cool. And now back to the topic. Today's episode with Tina and Huldar, which is super fun. We're going to talk about how we met, how we got talking about this organization, and also what happens when you are so excited about something that you immediately jump into action. So without further ado, this is Tina and Huldar and Bridges of Prosperity.
All right.
And we are here with Huldar and Tina, who are both fellow ISTs, members of the International Service Team, here at the Norway 2024, straight out of Stavanger in Norway. And this is the second episode the second Dove episode that's being recorded in this studio, because we're obviously gonna use the amazing equipment that I don't have. Normally I would be recording this with little like lavalier microphones that go on your collar, and the quality is probably 5 times as bad. So this is really cool to have.
We're honored to have our voices in
Yes,
highest quality.
Exactly, as you should be. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun because these two have been working together for the last 10 days?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Just
every day?
Yeah. Every day.
Basically, yeah.
Every day
we have
since
we came. When did we even start? The 20th of July? Yeah.
And you've been doing what exactly?
Poo Patrol.
Poo Patrol.
Poo Patrol. Did you actually ever come up with a song?
Oh no, for the Paw Patrol like theme, you know.
I think we floated the idea and then decided against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite safe from her.
We did. But we did make a t-shirt for our team leader.
Ooh.
With like president of Poo Patrol, and then we had like 15 different titles. Like you brought the best one, like the Führer of Feces.
No, it wasn't from me.
Oh, it wasn't from you.
No,
Oh, it's
I
just
can't
your
remember
favorite.
who came up with
No,
it.
okay, yeah,
That was a
and
good one.
I snuck an Icelandic one in there. Closet Kongurinn, king of the toilet.
Yeah, Lord of the Loons.
So you guys had literally the shittiest job, or one of the shittier ones, but you made it super fun.
We had a shit job.
Yeah.
We made it really, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's also a little bit what I feel like is the spirit of being an IST, or it should be, in my opinion, anyways. Could you imagine that, or did you have anyone on your team, without naming anyone, that was frustrated with the situation? Or was your frustration high at some times? Or was it always like you just overfund? Oh, that's not a real English word.
Overcame.
Yeah, you overcame it with fun.
Yeah, so I think most of the time we could like overcome things with fun, but like there were always sometimes moments, where it's been a long day and like this is the last stack of 16 toilets we're cleaning, and we're like, yeah, maybe we don't have to scrub that like tiny piece that's like a dirt on the mirror as hard as for the first mirror we did,
Yeah. Oh, mirror. You said mirror. Okay, I thought you were gonna say toilet.
No. Those one we do properly. Bang, every time.
Okay.
I mean, frustration-wise, I think a lot of people were frustrated because the way things work here, it's not the most efficient. It's not the same as doing work in the outside world. Like, we're way more people than we need here because the aim is to make friends, it's to hang out. There's a lot of redundancy and surplus in the people you need.
Ooh, I know some teams wouldn't like hearing that there's a surplus, because I feel like some teams were actually understaffed.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it depends on the department,
Yeah,
but in service, because they know the second people find out they're cleaning toilets, they will drop a lot of people straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
And there were like lots of people that either switched teams from service to other teams, or I heard from some groups there were people that just never showed up.
Yeah.
And they just have no idea where they were.
Yeah, stuff like that happens. There's always people like that. I'm gonna use your what you just said as a transition, your outside life and outside work, because that's actually why we're here. Not to talk about Poo Patrol for 40 minutes.
Solid opening.
But I guess technically I met you even before the hike.
Yeah.
Right?
We encountered each other at some point.
I think in the line waiting for a meal.
For food.
Yeah.
But
And-
we think we met way before that.
Well, that was me, and you said you don't recognize me, but I really recognize you from somewhere. At least I thought so.
Well, okay.
But we
so
still haven't been able to figure out from
it's
where.
either Sweden in 2011,
Yeah.
Japan in 2015,
Yeah.
Iceland in 2017.
Yeah.
One of those three.
So for sure, probably I've seen you somewhere, but I don't think we ever really interacted.
yeah.
Yeah. But Huldar also has a common friend with me, multiple probably from the Icelandic Scout Association. But shout out to Dori if he's listening, because Dori was in my tribe in Iceland at the Moot.
Nice.
The Moot is another international scout event for all the non-scouts listening or
Great,
watching.
we recommend.
Yes, in general, I think all of us can very much recommend scouting and guiding and scout events and international scout events, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. And then Tina I met at the hike. We did a hike to Preikestolen,
Yep.
I think it's pronounced, maybe incorrectly.
No, it was a really good pronunciation.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And then we got into, I don't even know how we started talking about what
Definitely
you do.
through you.
Maybe.
I don't know how, but
No, because you mentioned something about you're with the British contingent, but
yes,
you're
yes,
actually also half Swedish, and also one of our shared friends, Jer. Big shout out to Jer if he's listening.
yes.
Yeah,
Big
he
shout
also
out to
mentioned
Jer.
that you are part Taiwanese,
I'm half Taiwanese.
half Taiwanese,
Yeah.
and then you also said something about being Rwandan or
Yeah,
something
so I
like
live
that.
in Rwanda.
Exactly. So that's how we got talking about what you do.
Yeah.
How about you tell us what you do in Rwanda?
So currently live in Kigali, which is the capital of Rwanda, and I work for an organization called Bridges to Prosperity, and it's a non-profit organization that the aim is to build or to provide rural access to people in rural communities to end poverty caused by rural isolation. So in very, very simple terms, we build bridges. We've currently got 2 types, suspension and suspended, and we're trying to introduce more types to connect more people. But it's essentially just using infrastructure to end poverty. A lot of big words there.
No, I feel
Can
like
you tell I've switched
yes,
into
I feel like
words
I'm still smart enough to compute and to understand those words, which means a lot after 10. For me, it's been almost 3 weeks of Camp Madness because I was at my group scout camp before back to back, so I can feel my my neurons not functioning the same way as they would. Yeah, everyone's tired, but still highly energetic for some reason. I don't know how that works. So how did you get into that? I assume that you didn't. No, actually, I know already because you told me a little bit about it. But for the sake of the podcast, we're going to assume that you just didn't decide after high school you wanted to build bridges in Rwanda, or did you?
I knew in high school that I wanted to do infrastructure because that was a good way of reducing climate change, having a big impact on the world. But I went into very traditional civil engineering. And then as part of the company I worked for, they had a 2-week volunteering program where you could apply, you fundraise the money to cover your own travel. The company paid for half of the cost of the bridge, another company paid for the other half. And then we traveled to Rwanda to build a bridge for just a superstructure for 2 weeks. So I did that back in 2018. Loved it. It was life-changing for the community that we built the bridge for, but also for me. And then I went back to the UK and I became chartered and I did very traditional engineering things for another 5 years. And then I was looking at, my career, what I wanted to do in life. I felt like at the time I was doing carbon calculations for highways and it felt a bit counterintuitive. Didn't quite push that purpose button that I think scouting really gives you as well. So I look back on my 8 years of engineering career, and those 2 weeks were the best thing I'd done in 8 years. I thought I should do a little bit more of that.
Before we get back to Huldar, what was so life-changing about those 2 weeks? Can you pinpoint it?
I think it's the direct impact you have. So as an engineer, you very rarely experience the impact that you have for the people. Like if you build a road, people will drive over it, but it doesn't make people that much happier. Or if you build a rail network or something, people are still quite grumpy when they use it because they're using it to get to work quite early in the morning.
Yeah, and nobody who uses it will call you up and say, "Oh my God, thanks for making that road. It's epic."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we were working directly with 30 people from the local community. They lived there. We had very limited language, but you could just tell how grateful they were, how much this meant. People... They had children who had died in that river. They were telling us about brothers and sisters they'd lost. And the fact that you can share your knowledge to help stop that from ever happening again is really, really powerful. So it was that really purpose-driven direct impact. Yeah.
Nice. Huldar, do you feel like you do something purpose-driven outside of scouting?
Yeah, I try to purpose drive my life as much as I can. And so I'm doing a master's in mechanical engineering now, where I'm trying to push for sustainabilizing every industry. And that's like my purpose right now. It's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But I should talk about the bridge thing now.
If you want to.
I really would like to.
We need to come back, though, to what Huldar's got in the pipeline, because it's really interesting.
Okay. You know what? Then I'm going to make a power movement here and say, let's get back to the bridges later and first talk about what you've got in your pipeline, because I'm also very curious now to know.
So I want to sustainabilize every industry, and I want to start with cargo ships. And my idea, which I had 4 years ago, and over the last 4 years, I've seen some companies pop up with similar ideas where they're trying a little bit, tiptoeing into the water by putting a sail on the cargo ship. And the companies that are doing it now, they're doing it to reduce the carbon emissions. But I want to make one that's without fossil fuels. And then you don't need the fossil fuels anymore. Because it turns out, pivoting a sail and waiting until you get blown to your location is very energy efficient.
Turns out. How many geniuses did it take to find that out?
Oh, I don't know, but humans have done this before, you know. Yeah, and then when I'm done with the cargo shipping industry, I want to do cargo planes. And my idea for them is the same one that they use in Rwanda for blood packet delivery.
Yeah.
It's cool. You should totally look up that. There's a video online about the
Blood packet delivery in Rwanda?
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. They have these 2 blood banks, and like it's called the land of the hills, right? So
Land
it's
of
like
1,000 hills.
1,000 hills, yeah. So it's like super hilly area. And like 15 years ago, you know, if you were in a hospital in Rwanda and you needed blood delivered to the hospital, they would call up one of the blood banks that was closer to you. They would get the blood, put it in like truck, like a Land Cruiser. The truck would start driving, you know, and then it gets stuck in a ditch somewhere or something, or an axle would break or whatever, and then the person would die, you know. And now they have these tiny glider drones with like propellers that they shoot from a slingshot.
No way.
And they take like 30 minutes from like order of a blood bank, like packet delivery, until it has reached the hospital, to all the hospitals in the country. It is cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I thought you were going to say epic.
It's epic. Oh yeah, it is epic. But so I wanna take the same idea to throw airplanes, but I wanna throw big airplanes. All the airplanes.
Wow. Are you sure you want this to be published, or do you feel like you should gatekeep this idea?
What do you mean?
You know, like all the thousands of people who are going to watch this now maybe have the idea, or they be listening to that idea and they will be like, oh, that's such a good idea. I'm going to steal it from Huldar.
Oh, that would be great. Please steal ideas from me. I'm like, that means less work for me to sustainabilize the world, you know? Yeah. So please steal the ideas and perform them. That would be great task delegation.
I love that mindset. Yeah, that's amazing. You just collab over competition.
Collab over competition.
Yeah.
Like humanity, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, that's right.
There's actually a concept for this called Senius. Have you heard of it before?
No.
Senius.
Yeah, Senius, collective genius. It was...
Oh.
Yeah. That's cool.
Came up, Brian Eno, the ambient musician, came up with this term, and it's that like we think of geniuses popping up in isolation, often like white men, you know, working on their own. But actually, a lot of great ideas come from people collaborating and then feeding off each other to really generate like these amazing solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And exactly that model is what you're advocating for.
Yep.
And that's how we're going to help reduce the impacts of climate change, for example, by working together.
Do you think it's part of you guys having been in scouting, guiding for a long while that you have this sort of mindset internalized? Or do you think that for you too personally, does it come from somewhere else?
Yeah, I think scouting has had a lot to do with me having this mindset. Like probably a little bit came in the beginning of my life, like from my family and stuff. But then I was pushed into scouting because I had a friend who was a scout and he was always busy one time a week, you know, and my mom was like, why don't you try scouting with him? And I was like, I can't do that. And then I started meeting all these people that all share these like similar values that are like peace-driven values, and like thinking about nature and how nature is important and stuff, and that really instills stuff in you. Mm-hmm. And you meet a lot of people that have these really cool ideas and ways of thinking, and we talk about the things because like scouting is also like a place where people discuss a lot of like what their feelings are about different topics of a variety of things.
And we don't only talk about it, we also go into action.
Yes.
I think that's also something that might, I don't know, maybe I'm putting us as a movement too much on a pedestal, but I feel like that does distinguish a lot of people within guiding and scouting from maybe people who haven't had anything to do with those sort of values and mindset, that we think about ideas and then we go right into action.
Yeah. And
that's bringing us back to the bridges now, because that's what happened at the hike.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know how we you were so excited about Tina's projects and what she's doing, and then we were walking and we were talking, and then we were like, let's found a scout bridge.
Yes. Because she was like, we need like we were wondering if you needed hands to like help out.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's I
you were
asked
asking,
you.
like,
That's
Yeah,
right.
you wanted
If
to
we need
go.
volunteers,
That's
right? 'Cause
right.
we were talking about your podcast
Yeah.
and volunteering, and I said actually our biggest problem isn't knowledge, because our organization has built over 500 bridges. We know how to build these bridges right now. What we actually need is just funding. We need money so we can build more bridges. And Huldar had this incredible matching of ideas. It just aligned, bringing scouting and bridge building together.
Yeah, because you were like, we need like each bridge is like $80,000 US, you
Yeah.
said, and I looked it up, and it's like one new Land Cruiser, and I'm like, we can totally fund the Land Cruiser.
Easily.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I don't know if I told you guys about this, but in my scout group, we at our like group board meetings, every single time when it comes to miscellaneous points, somebody mentions that we should get a car for our group because we don't have one. we don't. So we are very familiar with the idea of funding funding a car or at least a vehicle or something like that. Shout out to Graz 5 if anyone's listening. But yeah, how would you, from your perspective, go about this? And then we can talk about the things that, well, the two of you mostly, I have not been as active as you have been in recruiting people, but how would you go about this?
Actually, we're going to give Huldar all the credit.
Okay, we are going to give Huldar all the credit.
So our normal model is we've got different avenues of funding, right? We get some grants, some applications, and the bit that I'm specifically working and my team is in is corporate. So we reach out to construction companies, mostly operate in America or Europe or Australasia. They provide the funding for one bridge. And then in return, they send out 10 volunteers for 2 weeks to do the superstructure. And there is an incredible bit of technical knowledge exchange where you have these incredible engineers who are really passionate about what they do and really good at engineering. And they're working side by side with 25 to 30 people from the local community, teaching them how to build this bridge. And most importantly for us, how to maintain it, how to inspect it, how to repair it, because the volunteers are only there for 2 weeks and then they go home. The people are there, the local community, that's for the next couple of generations. So if they know how to repair the bridge, that bridge is going to have such a just better chance of lasting a long time. So that for us is the really, really important.
Wait, is it like the same program as when you first came, kind of?
The same program. It's been running many, many years now.
I was just about to ask if you know how long it's been running for and how far you've gotten in maybe the organization's timeline of where they want to be ideally in terms of knowledge on site.
So I don't know specifically how long it's been running, which is something I should know. My guess is around, like, the organization started about 20 years ago, just over. And it really started off with, hey, we have this idea. Like, a guy saw a picture in National Geographic of people crossing over a rope. And he went, wait, we need to rebuild this bridge. I think it was in Ethiopia. Then it went, how do we rebuild it? We need the knowledge. They went to university students, or they went to people who knew how to build bridges. And they kind of went and they built one bridge. And they went, we built one, we fundraised for it, now let's do another. So it started off with, hey, we need your help to figure out how to build these bridges, and we need to fundraise the money. And it was quite sporadic, you know, where we built these bridges. And as over the last 20 years, the organization has evolved, it's become much more, how can we make this a sustainable legacy, right? How can we really scale up? And instead of one bridge here, one bridge there, it's how can we build as many as we possibly can? Can't remember the second part of your question.
Me neither, but what's the how? How do you do that? That you build as many as you can and that you scale it up?
Yeah. So now we're moving into this quite interesting phase where we used to only do 2 types of bridges,
Suspension and suspending. Yes, I
Also
paid
hybrid,
attention.
which is imagine very good. We're branching out into stone arch. So we're trying to branch out into more types of bridges
Stone
now.
arch.
Stone arch, like the Romans.
Wow.
Because they're low carbon, you use all local materials. They can take vehicular access, which is a footbridge can only do pedestrian. Now, I think I'm in split minds between vehicular in terms of climate change, but in terms of ending poverty caused by global isolation, it's a big step in the right direction. And we're now moving towards focusing on big picture, so rural infrastructure, rural access. And for that, we're gonna need more knowledge, but it's a different type of knowledge. So it's not how do we build a bridge, it's how do we help an entire country plan their rural infrastructure to allow people to continue living where they are and not forcing them into moving into cities to get what they need. And this is a problem that a lot of people in the West are facing too, right? Where people have been moving into cities. Cities are not the nicest place to live. They're quite grey. And people, mostly during the pandemic, have started moving back out because they realize how lovely nature is, how nice it is to breathe fresh air and be in the green. But we need to work out how to connect those people so they can still go to school, go to the hospitals, buy food. So this rural access problem is not just something they have in Rwanda. It's something that countries like Norway, like the UK, like
Even Austria too.
exactly.
Yeah, we also have this in Iceland.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting global problem.
Yeah, 100%. I talked about this the other evening with someone that it's so weird, the concept of cities. It's like, it's so weird that you would put hundreds of thousands of people in very small places to live literally on top of each other, not knowing each other, not really interacting with each other. It seems so quote unquote unnatural, whatever that means. Yeah, it's such a weird concept to me. If you really think about it.
It makes a lot of sense that it is really weird.
Yeah.
But bees do it too.
But bees also make honey. Or they also have a queen that they literally die for.
That's
I don't know if that's a very good
That's where the
comparison.
analogy ends too. So like it makes sense for I guess creatures to live in colonies
Sure.
or
Yeah.
together.
Especially small ones that don't have super computing brains.
Yeah. I think the issue with cities is we're doing it at the expense of nature and the planet, but we're also doing it at the expense of like our own health and our own happiness. Like so many people are unhappy in cities. And so yeah, it's really interesting. How do we go from grey to green, eco over ego? How do we start blending and creating
I like
hybrid
that.
models?
Eco over ego.
Hashtag eco over ego.
damn, I've never heard that either.
Is that a did you coin that term or
It was, I heard it from the president of the Institution of the Civil Engineers.
okay.
I don't know where she got it from. So,
Cool.
But we're spreading it.
Yep.
Spreading it.
Eco
Yeah.
hashtag eco over ego, guys. You heard it here. Let's get back to the Scout Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I want to give you the word now, Huldar, because you've been so passionate about it, and I've heard you talk very passionately to other people about this project, and just share with us how far you've come or what was. Because the first ideas we had were all like very silly.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
first
we
idea
could-
was let's steal a Land Cruiser and sell it. But of course we can't do that.
Blackmail politicians.
Yes, but no. So actually, this has been really great. We had the idea that we would make an international scout collaboration project where we split into like 10 or 20 teams. Each team will fundraise like from $4,000 to $8,000 because 10 to 20 and $80,000 total. And I've been talking to people, and dude, I remember the first time I was talking to someone, I was like, "Yes, bridge money you have."
It was at the beach. I remember exactly. Yeah.
Terrible.
I was like, "You need to work on your pitch, brother."
And you were like, Huldar, how about we change this pitch a little bit? And I was like, ooh, yes, your pitch is way better. And I've just been repeating that pitch to everyone.
Oh, you came up with the pitch.
Oh, yeah. He
guess,
completely came up with the pitch.
That's amazing.
And so I've just been walking up to people and going like, hey, so I have a friend. She's a legend. Her name is Tina. And she's building bridges for people, you know. And these bridges, they are like in communities where you have rivers, and sometimes like they have a bridge that's going down because of a flood or something, and they have a really hard time getting to places because they're missing this bridge. We want to fund one. It's only $80,000. And I need you to help me out a little bit, because we need contacts in countries where people have a ranger or a rover tribe, or a contact to a ranger or a rover tribe. That's like 16 to 20-ish old for people that don't know scouting terms. I know my rangers are going to be excited about this, because this counts towards the president's badge in Iceland.
Oh.
Ooh la la.
And they also did a community project like 1 or 2 years ago, which like really bound the group together. They tightened the bonds. So they were there. I think they will be excited about it. And we've been collecting people now, and I think we have 9 people.
Yeah.
And the goal was 10 to 20. So we just need one more person. And that's a goal for today. Find the next person, and then we're ready to go.
But that's crazy though. That's all been done in the space of a week.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're going to have a meeting in October to plan it out a little bit. And then the kids will plan out how they actually get the money. And then we'll ask you for the bank details or something.
Yeah, that's all we got to do. Keep it no.
It is. Yeah, no. But it's amazing, yeah. And I wanted to also ask you about, because you mentioned that to me on the hike, that you and your rangers and rover scouts, you've done fundraising before. So just like, I don't know, most people probably haven't done fundraising out there who are listening to this. So with a scout group, how do you start with that? Like, do you just tell them, go and do your thing, or what would you do?
Oh, okay. So I am really a fan of, like, I do tell people to go and do their thing, but like, I kind of want them to have it organized and systematic, and they can always come talk to me about things, and I will like be with them and be like, hey, you're thinking about doing it this way, and that's great, but have you thought about these 3 things that like accompany that method that you're choosing? And they're like, no, I haven't thought about that. And then maybe they change the method, or they think about those 3 things and still keep their method. I haven't done a lot of fundraising projects. The one, like, we did a couple for the National Jamboree in Iceland, which was like 2 weeks ago. We had kids mostly collect bottles and cans. We have the Icelandic National Scout Organization has a company that recycles bottles and cans. So we are recycling like half the bottles and cans in Iceland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's epic. So we had a bunch of kids running around collecting bottles and cans. And my tribe that I'm leading, the Rangers, they did a project for a Kraftur. Shout out to Kraftur. And I have one of the bracelets from that project, which says the life is now. And it's like they wanted to do a community project for the president's badge. And they were thinking like, who do we do it for? And what do we do it? Like, what's the goal? And I had heard from my friend who was running Cub Scouts in a different municipality that she had collected like, I don't even know how, it was like 500,000 Icelandic in worth of canned goods, which is like a lot of money. You can get a lot of soup for 500,000 Icelandic.
Soup.
Yeah. So like she had Cub Scouts collect like 500,000 Icelandic, which is like 5 times more than you would expect the Cub Scouts to do. So I told my Rangers, my friend, she had her Cub Scouts collect 500,000. You guys gotta do better than that. And they were like, we'll do 1,000,000. And then they started thinking about it, and they ended up doing a project where they were gonna make cinnamon buns. And they estimated how much time they would need. And it was like 3 work weeks, like full-time jobs of time. And they were like, we won't be able to do this. And I said, well, how do you get 3 work weeks of time in 1 weekend? And that's when they started asking other groups for help. And they ended up doing a super cool like intergroup collaboration project and baked 3,500 cinnamon buns in 1 weekend.
Yes.
Yep. That's so amazing, and it actually ties in with the whole, what was it, seniors and collaboration over competition. Yeah. And I feel like that's really a forte and a strength also within guiding and scouting, is that you have that network of other groups, of other tribes, of other national organizations, you name it, where you can just literally make projects like a bridge happen. It's not something that's unrealistic. And that's really cool. And that's why I'm also super excited.
We should acknowledge like Huldar's ability to just drum up enthusiasm. So one, to just approach people that you don't know out of the blue and just introduce yourself and make instant friends. This is like a wonderful ability to just have in life, right? And then your second ability to just drum up enthusiasm for whatever it is that you happen to be enthusiastic about in that moment. You talk about it and people get excited.
Yeah.
And they're, yeah, I'm on board. And seeing you do these two things in combination, this is why all the credit should go to Huldar for recruiting these people, because I've just been standing next to him or having a conversation somewhere else.
You were just being the amazing Tina on the side.
No, I was just doing my thing. And you just managed to drum up this excitement among people. And these are all both like wonderful qualities to have. And I think they are like becoming rarer, right? In today's society where we don't talk to people as often. There's more animosity as we're living more and more online. So seeing you do these things in action is actually like very inspirational.
Oh, wait, I got something for you. Nope, that was the wrong one.
That's not the right button.
Nope. Oh, it's the wrong soundboard. Never
buttons.
mind. Wait. It's the wrong soundboard. That's why. It was this one. Yeah.
Wow.
Much better.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's so exciting that something like that can just happen out of like thin air. Just the right people getting together for a shitty job.
Patrol. But yeah, because you said like people don't talk to each other so much anymore, and I really agree with that, because sometimes I'm on a bus and it's really quiet, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. We're in a bus. There's lots of people here. Why is it quiet? Except for those two in the back that are giggling about something, you know? And so I challenge everyone who listens to this podcast to say good day to everyone you see for one day.
Wow. Challenge accepted. Yep. As soon as I'm getting back to Austria, I will say good day to every single person I see.
Nice.
And then I will hide in my basement.
And recharge the social batteries.
Exactly.
Nice,
exactly. I think that's gonna happen for a lot of people. Is a lot of recharging over the next few days after this camp.
Yeah.
Before we finish, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but we talked about it a little bit on the hike. Because of course we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna fund this bridge, and then we're all gonna come visit you in Rwanda, and we're all gonna be there for the opening of the bridge. And this raised a topic that I've talked about this on podcasts before, because it is a huge thing, and it is a criticism that organizations often have to face is white saviorism or also volunteerism.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about the fact that Bridges for Prosperity is dealing. They are aware of those topics and they're dealing with them. Maybe you just want to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit repetition with what we said before, but I think this is a really, really important topic, right? Like, we really want to move away from white saviorism, volunteerism, the way we're still transitioning, right? I don't think we have the perfect formula yet. We're working on it. But for us, it's all in that long-term sustainability. So we've got... Like, for me, the most important piece is those 25 to 30 people. 10 of those are chosen to form a bridge committee, and they then become responsible for looking after the bridge. So it's maintaining that bridge once they leave, and not just kind of flying in 10 people, building a bridge and then leaving. It's making sure you've got that long legacy. Trying to open up opportunities for the people who come. So it's not a very targeted and specific group of people. So we have global teams now that come from all across the world, which again, really, really incredible to see. We are also really, really focused on the knowledge piece, so that when they do come, we really want them to transfer their technical and their engineering knowledge to that local group of people. So it's not them flying in, building the bridge themselves and then leaving. It's, hey, try to find a buddy, try to figure out how you're going to communicate without having a common language, how you're going to show someone how to tighten a nut or a bolt or lay the decking without being able to communicate verbally, and really, really imparting that that knowledge piece. For us, that's the most important thing. If they have that knowledge, they know how to maintain a bridge. They can also go away and then try to find more technical jobs that pay better. They can bring in more money into their household income. They can help their kids go to school more consistently, buy better food, better healthcare. Like, it's all got these amazing knock-on effects.
Yeah.
So that's the direction we're going. If anyone listening has better ideas, we're continuously changing as an organization. We're continuously listening to people, continuously improving. So it's something we're working pretty hard to change that image of.
Yeah, awesome. All right. I would like to wrap it up soon. I just want to give you guys the opportunity that if there's anything that we haven't mentioned and where you feel like this would be important still to talk about in, let's say, in the context of bridge building, not so much toilet cleaning.
Actually, I want to close with a bit of toilet cleaning.
All right, then go
I
on.
know it's been very poor theme, but we have been cleaning toilets for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we haven't really talked about why we have made it a good job. Because normally you get assigned toilet cleaning, you would think, oh no, I'm cleaning toilets for 2 weeks. I'm paying to clean a lot of money actually to clean toilets. And we've had such an amazing time. And the reason we've had such an amazing time is because of the people. Like, we've had such a wonderful group of people. People have shown up. Our leadership team, we had, going back to one of your really early questions, which was around the frustrations and struggles.
Yeah.
Our very first toilet shift, really frustrating. We didn't have the supplies we needed. We didn't really know. There was a bit of guidance, but it wasn't clear. It talked about things that weren't there. Really frustrating. We finished around 10 p.m. at night cleaning toilets. We came back and we ranted at our team lead for the next hour and said, we grabbed some snacks and we said, hey, here is everything that is not working. He very patiently listened to us, and then he went away, and the next toilet shift we did, he'd implemented almost every single one of those points we raised.
The next toilet shift, by the way, was like the day after.
The day after, yeah. So things happen quick here. So the fact that we had leadership who listened and then took action, going back to the scouting action. And my favorite part of that was that we said, hey, cleaning toilets is a bit shit. Could you get us some speakers to make it more fun? And he bought 4 Bluetooth speakers.
4 speakers.
Wow.
Like, day after, they were there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we blast uplifting music.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of rock. Everyone knows the poo patrol cart is coming because they hear is coming. We put on some like energizing, we're dancing as we're cleaning. And it's just a good, it's been a team bonding activity.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have thought so. And you wouldn't have made it like that in the outside world. But in scouting, we made it a group activity. And I think there is something there in terms of the experience 3 of us have had at Row Away and how we can take this away and make real life more fun. Yeah,
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That's so important. And I also hope that, because I'm sure you guys are not the only one who are having this experience here, that you have something that you have to do, and that you're, like you said, any international scouting guiding event is set up in a similar structure. So you are actually, you're paying to volunteer somewhere, and then you have a job that might not be the most fun job, but you make it fun. And the more people realize that it's not so much about the activity and pushing through, it's really more about who you're surrounded with, and then what you make out of it. I think that would be awesome. Yeah. If we can carry that message away and home and everywhere else. You have anything to add?
No, we'll just I'll take what Tim Tam wrote on a post-it note. He said, have fun, don't die, use protection.
And on that bombshell.
All right, that's awesome. We're gonna wrap it up with that. No, actually, I have 2 questions that I always end every podcast episode with on the DOVE podcast. And the first one is a little bit trickier perhaps than the second one. The first one is, you can write a letter to any person dead or alive, fictitious or real, who would you write the letter to, and what would be the rough content of that letter?
Wait, will they respond with another letter? Or is it a one-way communication?
Let's say yes. They have the opportunity to respond.
This is how you end the podcast? I need a half
Yup.
hour to think about.
You can take your time. We can fix this in post.
Wait. Is it like we can write a letter to anyone? We can write a letter. It's just we can write a letter to anyone.
Anyone.
I guess I'd probably send a letter to my mom and be like, "Hey, mom, I'm in Norway," and like maybe put my dad in there. They don't live together right now, you know. Or so like I could be like, "Hey, parents and family, like here's what's going on," and maybe have like one of those postcards from the store that like shows you a photo of the land you are in, and just talk a little bit about what I'm doing, and tell them I love them.
Cute. Very wholesome. Very simple also. A very unexpected answer.
Yeah, I mean, okay, my mind like immediately went to like, oh, let's write to like the president of the US to sort like climate change or some of these like world leaders, right?
Sure.
Like, but this question is like, who, if you could, but like, I don't understand why I'm not doing those things if that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, I mean, as we said, I'd probably just write a letter to the scouts, the people who have signed up to get involved in this crazy bridge project that we need to sort the details out for. And in fact, I probably can. I should probably just drop something in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And just say, hey guys, like we're really excited to make this a real thing. Like it's actually really, really cool. So I think we've gone for a bit more of a grounded answer, I think.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Any answer is good. You have another task for tonight to write that message.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
as soon as we have the 10th person.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We need the one.
We need one, and I think we will find them today. The second question is, what are your favorite birds?
My favorite bird is skógarþröstur.
Sure thing.
It's like, you know how have you heard the Beatles song Blackbird?
Mm-hmm.
So in Icelandic, that bird is called svartþröstur, where svart means black, and þröstur is the bird part in the blackbird. But þröstur does not mean bird in Icelandic. It's just that specific type of bird. So skógarþröstur also ends with þröstur, which is the bird part in blackbird, but does not mean bird in Icelandic. And the skógar bit means forests. So it's the forests, that bird.
Okay. I think I understood what you mean, and I'm going to look it up.
Otherwise, kría is amazing too. They travel a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
K-R-I with a comma on top. A.
We'll figure it out. Which one is the... what was it? Svalþröstur? No.
That's the blackbird, but skógarþröstur.
Skógarþröstur.
Yeah, nice pronunciation. Oh, sorry. Headphones.
How about you?
I think I'll go for the puffin.
Ah!
Nice.
It was
What a circle moment here. You've got the Icelandic over here and then you naming the Icelandic iconic bird.
Yeah, it was a symbol, iconic symbol during the Icelandic mood. That was one of my favorite scout events.
Yep.
I went and saw the puffins and I didn't realize how small they are.
Super small, super cute.
Yeah, I ran into someone at a van life festival whose favorite animal is the puffin. One of their favorite photos they'd ever taken. So
Wow.
I think I have a lot of puffin moments. So
Cool.
You also have a cool hat with a puffin on it.
I have a cool beanie with a puffin on it.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense then. Not so much your answer.
Well, yeah. No, but if you could write a letter to anyone, who would you write the letter to? And what's your favorite bird?
Don't turn my questions around on me.
Hey, well, if you can ask us, we can ask you.
So my favorite. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
My favorite birds vary. I think I would like to name two. One of them being the eagle owl, which is native in all over or Central Europe for sure, perhaps Northern Europe also. And it's just, I think, one of the largest owls out there. And it looks really cool. And it sounds really cool.
Have you met one?
Not in the wild, no.
Related to the owl bear?
The owl bear.
The eagle owl.
D&D reference.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay. And the other one is the harpy, or harpy eagle, I think, which is native in the Amazon
Okay.
and has the strongest claws out of all birds. And it just snaps your arms like twigs if it wants to.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. It looks terrifying. It looks very memeable also. Like it is like that sort of face. And the letter I would also have to think about a long time. I think I would make it a very significant person in human history, maybe. Perhaps someone who caused a lot of suffering. Hitler comes to mind.
Yeah.
And I would ask them like,
Person who burned the Library of Alexandria.
that's a very good one. Wow. Yes. That is a very good one. Like, why would you ever do something like that? Or what could we have done to prevent this from happening? So it doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah.
Something like that. A lot of people also, which I can totally dig, is they write letters to themselves, either future or past.
Okay.
Oh, like with like, hey, here's some tips.
Yep, exactly.
Do you get a response from your future self?
That would be
Immediately?
cool.
That's a way to cheat on your math.
Yeah. I don't know. I think really I'm too tired to think about how that would work. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time, and keep up the amazing energy and work. That's it. I think.
Same to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
this lovely chat.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So that's it. That was the episode. That was the conversation with Tina and Huldar. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had some fun. We sure did when we were recording it, even though, because maybe you can tell we were at the end of the camp. Maybe we mentioned it a couple of times as well. We were already quite exhausted, quite low on energy. Some thoughts did not come out as intended. But I still think it was inspiring. It was cool. I'm really excited about the project. It's definitely going to happen. So I'm going to keep you posted about that for sure. The birds. Tina's was a little bit easier. Puffin. This is what a puffin sounds like. And then we have the skogerthruster. Which I looked it up, is in English it's just called a redwing, and this is what they sound like. So before I let you go, again, the reminder that I would love for you to support this podcast, support the Diary of Volunteers on Earth by sharing, by liking, by commenting, by interacting, subscribing on YouTube, Dove Podcast. Leave a review on Spotify, the Diary of Volunteers on Earth. Share this with your friends, with your family, with your grandma. And that's all, I think. Thank you so much. Until next time, much peace, much love, much Dove. You're Jakob.